We live? We be live. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Now, just get us up on IG. Watching on whatever platform you be on. Oh, hang on. What's up, IG? What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? Yes. What's up, Jordan? What's up, Insta? Oh, hang on. Everybody just stay where you are. Big emergency. 1 second.
What about a hello?
Sorry, lying on it. Nice meeting y'all. Okay. Sorry, this is for Dr. Mark Hyman. What's up, bruh? All right, sorry, that was very important. All right, so my people on Instagram, I'm on my Instagram. I'm going to answer questions on here for like 5 minutes, and then I'm going to switch over to Carbon Diet Coach Instagram. So if you guys want to follow me over there, you can. In the meantime, I will try to answer as many of your questions as I possibly can. Yeah, so hit me. What do you guys got for me today? Try to make them not suck. We want you versus Wilkes. Hey, man, James Wilkes agreed to a debate. And he texted Rogan, and we never heard anything back about it. So you got to talk to Joe about it. Quick question. Somebody told me that taking processed protein powder, would eventually make my body less efficient in processing other types of protein. Is this true? So I'm going to give you guys a lesson in how to detect bullshit, okay? So first off, when somebody says that, what do they mean by less efficient? Efficient how? Efficient in what way? What are you referring to? If you ask them that, I promise you they will not have a suitable answer for you. Because efficient in terms of protein metabolism, if you were less efficient, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean that you're not absorbing it? Because if that's the case, then you would have diarrhea after a certain period of time of taking protein powder because you're not absorbing it. Well, that doesn't happen. So terms like efficient how? That is a nebulous term. When somebody is using nebulous terms, if something can mean anything, then it means nothing. Say it again. If it can mean anything, then it means nothing. Second part, less efficient in processing other types of proteins. What do they mean by processing? What does processing mean? Another nebulous term. Now, do you mean, again, absorption, utilization, metabolism? Metabolism, how? In what aspect? So this person is completely full of crap. And just to give you an idea, we see in long-term studies in people using isolated protein powders that they have a similar anabolic response when they take it a year after the first time they take it as to the first time they took it. So that is complete nonsense. But I want you guys to repeat after me. If someone makes a claim, what you then need to do is pick apart their claim. What do they mean by efficient? What do they mean by processing? These are terms used by charlatans in order to sell you bullshit. If it can mean anything, it means nothing. All right, let's see here. I'm almost never sore the day after a workout anymore. I know that being sore isn't a good thing, but I can't help but think that no soreness might mean my intensity and or volume is lacking. Soreness happens in parallel to muscle growth. We've pretty well established that soreness is not a requirement for muscular hypertrophy. I would say that in general, if you're sore all the time, you're programming incorrectly. If you're never ever sore, you're also probably programming incorrectly for muscle growth. You should probably be sore on occasion. That would be what I would say. But if you're sore like after every training session, like most of these gym bros who go in and hit like one body part a day, and then they smash it and then they're sore for a week, yeah, you're programming like crap. Let's see here. Thoughts on Greg Doucette's main gaining approach? So the idea that you're going to be at maintenance and build tons of muscle. Guys, here's the rule. If you chase 2 rabbits, you typically get none, okay? Don't you think that if it was as simple as just maintaining your way into a shredded, jacked physique, that everyone would just do that? Now, am I saying that under no circumstances can you gain muscle and lose fat at the same time? No, I'm not saying that. Yes, you can do that under specific sort of circumstances. Only under specific circumstances can you gain a lot of muscle and lose significant body fat. Those would be either you're new to training, I'm sorry, somebody just asked a question that just mind fucked me, but I'll get back. You're either new to training, you're on steroids, or you're obese. Those people, or any combination of those 3. Outside of that, sure, you could build a little bit of lean body mass and lose a little bit of body fat, but you're like, listen, I started lifting weights at about 140 pounds. I'm currently 205 pounds, okay? I wasn't going to gain my way to like jacked and shreddedness starting at 140 pounds. That requires you to lay down some tissue. It requires also that you're probably going to gain a little bit of body fat along the way. Now, don't strawman me. I'm not saying you have to get sloppy. I'm not saying you have to gain a ton of fat. You absolutely do not have to do that. But if you want to build tissue, it requires energy. Everybody would just do it if it was that easy. Anyway, all right, guys on BioLayne Instagram. What's that now?
They need to do the vacuum for the AC.
Depends on how loud it's going to be.
I'll try it. Sorry.
I guess give it a shot. Sorry, guys. Office problems. We're having issues with the air conditioning. Yeah, it's okay. Sorry for the background noise. Okay, so I'm going to jump off BioLayne IG. I'm going to be on Carbon Diet Coach, so make sure you go follow Carbon Diet Coach. Jump on the live there. I'll keep answering your questions. Facebook and YouTube, stay with me. Just going to log into Carbon Diet Coach. And here we go. All right. And we are live on Carbon Diet Coach Instagram. What's up, Carbon Diet Coach Instagram? All right. Now, I saw a question from Larry Connors. What are your thoughts on Mike Dolce and his views on nutrition? Not good. Not good. Trisha says, hey, Layne, I did an early check-in last Tuesday and want to get back to a Wednesday check-in. How will Carbon account for the extra day? Well, you can either check in on the following Tuesday again, or you can wait till Wednesday. Now, the problem is the only downside is it will lock your planner for one day because you will not be able to adjust your planner. You'll just have to eat the average daily intake for that one specific day. But other than that, you just wait a day and then you can check in a day late. Hey, Layne, please let us know the question that mind fucked you. That was somebody considering Mike Dolce a nutrition expert. That's what mind fucked me. What is your view on high fiber diets to feed the gut microbiome? So there is a lot of gut programs out there, most of which are complete crap, including probiotics, which don't really appear to do much. Now, prebiotic fibers appear to beneficially impact the gut. Well, that seems to be very, very consistent. in terms of what you can do for your gut, exercise helps. Don't eat like an asshole in terms of eating way too many calories, or don't become obese, basically. And eat enough fiber and limit your saturated fat intake. If you do those things, that seems to be the general rules we have right now for a healthy microbiome. Now, a lot of you guys, you'll have like GI pain, or you'll have like gas or bloating or whatever. And I hear so many people go, oh yeah, I just know my microbiome's messed up. No, the gut is extraordinarily complex. Just because you're having symptoms does not mean it's the gut microbiome. In fact, a healthy gut microbiome produces gas from prebiotic fibers. So if you're not having flatulence, then you're probably not feeding your gut microbiome well. Layne, where can I read through research-based studies instead of wading through Google? How do people not know about PubMed? PubMed.gov. PubMed.gov. Literally every study in the history of mankind. Thoughts on no toothpaste usage according to Paul Saladino, the carnivore guy. The fact that people take Paul Saladino seriously blows my mind. I'm just honest to God, I'm not sure what to say. I have a 50-page debunk on my website about Paul Saladino. Like not using toothpaste. What is he, one of these like fluoride mind control crazies? Okay, try to be nice. He is not an evidence-based person. He's not an evidence-based person. That's about as nice as I can be. Is Carbon Diet Coach suited for people who are mainly sedentary due to injury? Yes. It will adjust to your level of activity based on how your weight responds. Now, understand that because you're sedentary, you will probably be on relatively low calories, but it will adjust to your level of activity. Yes. Opinions on ashwagandha. I think ashwagandha is a great supplement. In fact, I have it in my line in the recovery Outwork Nutrition product. So I like ashwagandha. We need more research on the mechanism of action, but it seems to consistently reduce stress, improve recovery, and possibly modestly improve testosterone. What about Joel Furman and those vegan camp doctors? Also crap, also not evidence-based. There's one vegan doc I've seen that's really good, and that's Avi Bitton. So Avi is the bee's knees. He's very evidence-based. We don't agree on everything, but I would say that he has a commitment to the truth rather than ideology. This is in reference to Saladino from YouTube. He has actively harmed people. Please understand there are people that treat patients directly that see the harm this guy does and people like him. Yeah, so that's somebody says, I'm curious. Let's see here. Oh no, hang on, Larry. People don't understand there's always unintended consequences of bad information. All right. And people do this thing all the time. They say, well, this person means well. Listen, I have no doubt that Paul Saladino means well. I have no doubt that people like Dr. Tro mean well. I have no doubt that some of these vegan docs mean well. But when you are more committed to ideology than you are the truth, it always has unintended consequences. And let me give you an example, okay? So first off, Paul says like LDL cholesterol doesn't matter. That is not in line with a plethora of research data. In fact, I used to be in the camp of, well, LDL cholesterol doesn't really matter that much. It's mostly the HDL to LDL ratio, until a bunch of Mendelian randomization trials came out and pretty much showed, HDL is indicative of a healthy metabolism, but it is not protective of heart disease. It is only associated with a heart disease protection because people who have high HDL tend to be healthier overall. But drugs that increase HDL do not lower heart disease. And people who have naturally high levels of HDL in these Mendelian randomization trials do not have lower rates of heart disease. People who have higher levels of LDL consistently in Mendelian randomization trials, where they're able to isolate people with different polymorphisms on their genes and pick out, okay, these are high secretors of LDL, these are low secretors of LDL. There is a linear effect of increasing LDL on heart disease. Meanwhile, Paul Zaladino is walking around saying, hey, it doesn't matter that you have my LDL is over 500 because look, my coronary artery score is 0. You don't understand how heart disease works. It is not a disease that develops in 1 year or 2 years or whatever. It is a lifetime exposure risk. Just like if I smoke a pack of cigarettes today or I start smoking for a month, I don't immediately have lung cancer. That is not how it works. It is a lifetime exposure sort of thing. So I'm not surprised that since he's overall healthy and lean, that he doesn't have calcium deposits on his arteries. But this isn't a disease that kills you at 30. It's not a disease that kills you at 40. It's the difference between you living to 70 or 78. That's how it kills you. Okay? So people who are believing that LDL has no effect on heart disease, he's literally placing these people at risk, like quite literally. And further, even more into that, what we have in nutritional science right now, or lack thereof, nutrition space, fitness industry, no one talks about the foods that are good to eat, or very few people talk about it. Nobody talks about adding things to your diet and diet diversity. It's all about cut these foods, take these foods out. These foods are bad. Like if you listen to every self-proclaimed expert out there, you would literally be able to eat nothing, because carnivore people tell you that plants are toxic, which is insane. Like, have you actually looked up the definition of toxic? Meanwhile, vegans will tell you that meat is toxic. Meanwhile, other people will tell you that dairy is toxic. Like people have so much food anxiety now. I know so many people who are scared to eat anything, and they feel helpless because of this misinformation. Okay? That is why I fight so hard against this misinformation. And you can't understand, those of you who don't coach people, you cannot possibly understand the amount of eating disorders this causes. There are so many people who are scared to eat anything, and so they literally eat nothing. Or if they eat something that they think is bad, they end up binge eating and then purging. This is a real, nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about this. Did you know that eating disorders, specifically anorexia, have the highest mortality rate of any mental illness, including depression? How many of you knew that? I bet most of you didn't know that. Depression gets talked about all the time. Eating disorders, that's all in your head. Yeah, it got put in your head by people who scared you into eating fucking nothing. Okay, sorry. Big rant. Hope y'all have a great Friday. Philip says, been using carbon since March this year. Goal is weight loss and currently down almost 30 pounds. Awesome job, Philip. Start weight was 122, currently 193. Past 2 week, strength and workouts have started to decline, and I'm extremely hungry. Should I switch over to maintenance? Yeah, I mean, as you cross a certain body fat level, like you're probably going to have, reduced energy and have your strength take a hit. Now that's part of it. So if you want to get leaner, you may have to have some level of acceptance of that. But you could take a maintenance phase for a few weeks just to see if it gets your energy back up, you feel a little bit better, reinvigorate yourself, and then go hard back into the cut if you want. Thank you for using the app. I really appreciate your support. Larry says, sorry, any chance you could elaborate more? I used to follow Mike, been on carbon now since the beginning of the year, and I love my results. Just curious why you don't like his views so I can know more. Larry, I honestly can't pick out like a a specific thing. I know that I've seen him make various claims that are, in fact, he's gone after me like specifically. I don't think he actually named me. Maybe he did. I don't know. But he's just made some claims that are just simply not evidence-based. And I'm sure if I dug through his social media now, I could find something, but frankly, I just don't have the time. But hey, that's my opinion. You can take it for what it's worth, but this is a guy, me, I've published research. I've competed myself at a very high level, top 5 in the world in bodybuilding, in drug-free bodybuilding, was a silver medalist in powerlifting, published in, American Journal of Physiology, published in Journal of Nutrition, published in Nutrition and Metabolism, I know what I'm talking about. Layne, I really love you. Oh, thank you. Love you too. My first patient of the day. Oh, this is cool. My first patient of the day swapped out. They started drinking diet soda instead of regular soda. They started drinking regular soda instead of diet soda, and their HbA1c went from 6.2 to 9.1. That's crazy. Yeah, but aspartame's bad for you. George Farah? Yeah, George Farah is not somebody I would consider evidence-based. Down 19 pounds since August, plant-based carbon diet coach with yoga and lifting. Take that, Mark Hyman. I'm so confused with weight loss. I'm following so many girls that are saying you need to gain weight in order to lose weight if you have damaged your metabolism. So first off, I wish I never made the video called metabolic damage. There is no actual long-term damage. There's metabolic adaptation. Now, if you have chronically underconsumed calories over a long period of time, it's possible that, and especially if you've yo-yo dieted a lot, it's possible that you have a reduced energy expenditure. And you may need to spend some time undoing not just the physiological effects of that, but the psychological effects of that. And so we have something we term called reverse dieting to help with that. All I can tell you is if you do what you have always done, you will get what you have always gotten. I have a book on reverse dieting. Honestly, I could write a thesis on this. It's hard to answer in just a simple question. I would recommend checking out my videos on reverse dieting on YouTube. And if you want to go a step further, my book on reverse dieting, available at the link in my bio, is a really good option as well. Just started carbon this week on Monday, and I'm always full, trying to keep up with the protein, carbs, and calories. I'm on the weight loss plan. Does this level out? Should I keep eating when I'm not hungry? It is not eat as little as possible. It is eat the macros. And if that means you need to consume more energy-dense sources of food, then do so. Okay? If you do not hit the macros, the app cannot do its job. Thank you for trying it out. My A1C went from 12 to 4 by drinking Diet Coke. Awesome. Buying the book. Thank you. No, thank you. Let us know if you have any questions. Okay, let me see. I'm going to go into Instagram and see what other questions we got. How often should one update body fat percentage when checking in on carbon? If you can do it weekly, it'll help the app and the algorithm. So if you can do it weekly, that would be great. Just watched your Dr. Simpson video. Do you think other people are calling calorie obsession or some other mental disorder related to calorie tracking, calories in, calories out? Yeah, most people, when they criticize like calories in, calories out, they're actually, they actually don't know what they're talking about. Calories in, calories out is a physiological process. Counting calories is a tool. Guys, if you ask me a thoughts on question, I'm probably not going to answer it because I hate it when people ask thoughts on. Somebody asked me a ways back, what are your thoughts on the anti-inflammatory diet for those with autoimmune disorders? Is it complete BS or any science that supports it? No science that supports it. None. If you want an anti-inflammatory diet, exercise regularly, limit your overall calorie intake, and limit your saturated fat. Maybe take some fish oil. That's the best we got. And fiber. Eat fiber. Unless you know specifically that fiber triggers your symptoms. Importance of micronutrient tracking. There are so many that everyone claims are of the utmost importance. This is so funny. People always, when they're like criticizing flexible diet, say, well, what about micronutrients, bro? When none of them actually, I'll be like, okay, how much selenium do you take in a day? And they go, because they don't freaking know. Yeah, micronutrients are important, but if you're eating a well-balanced diet, you're going to get enough micronutrients in. Hates thoughts on question, immediately answers thoughts on question. Owned. Why lower saturated fat? Saturated fat has been shown to increase inflammatory markers. I'm not saying you can't eat saturated fat. I'm saying to try and limit it as best you can. It's been shown to increase inflammatory markers. And I think a lot of that is the end products of metabolism of saturated fats being metabolized by bile salts. Is it smart to use the deadlift for hypertrophy goals, 10 to 15 reps, or is another movement better? I would pick a different movement. I'm gaining weight with my initial calorie and macro targets on carbon. Should I just wait the full week and check in, or could this be from muscle gain? It could be from a number of things. You need to let the app do its job. I promise you, if the calories are too high, it will decrease them. What is the explanation behind lower calories for inflammation? Very simple. Fat tissue is inflammatory. Adipose tissue secretes adipokines. And if you are obese or overweight, you will have typically higher circulating levels of inflammatory markers. I'm on my first diet break with Carbon Diet Coach, and I'm floored how high my maintenance calories are. It's mentally freeing. Love hearing that. I have great trust in your approach. Female, age 64, down to a comfortable weight, watching my macros, but need some free weight help for my strength and form. Do you have a tutorial that might help guide me at my age? I have a few tutorials on YouTube about like squat, bench press, and deadlift for the main lifts. And then our workout builder website, the Layne, video instructionals for each exercise, or video demonstrations for each exercise. I'm trying carbon and having trouble meeting my fat and carb macros. I'm always over on fat and under on carbs. Is there a range or is it a strict marker? So what I would recommend doing is go into your settings, press settings on the bottom, then press dietary preferences. And then if you go in there, you can actually adjust within your dietary preference, your carbs and fats within a certain range. And I would adjust it to a range that allows you to hit those macros more consistently. Truly best, easiest app to use. Thank you so much. Is there such a thing as too much protein? Can you utilize more than 2.4 grams per kg of protein intake? Define utilize. Can't have nebulous terms, guys. You got to define them. Do you do one-on-one coaching for bodybuilders? No, I do not do one-on-one coaching anymore because frankly, I'd be terrible at it because I'm so involved in so many aspects of the business. What you guys will find out if you're entrepreneurs, if any of you are entrepreneurs, if you are lucky enough to be successful in business, one of the downsides to that is you just spend more time managing the business than you do actually doing the thing that made you successful. So just right now, we're actually undergoing a lot of overhaul in the business in terms of just how the processes and automations are done so that I can get back to doing more of the things that I actually like doing. I've been consistent with the app, which has me on around 1,200 calories and have not dropped for several months now. Should I change my settings? Currently have it on sedentary due to my work. However, I do Orange Theory, lift, and use my Peloton, exercise 5 to 6 days a week, 60 minutes each time. Should I reverse? So first off, if you truly are taking that in and you're not losing weight and you truly, you're weighing every single piece of food that goes in your mouth. I'm not saying you have to do this forever, okay? But if you think you're on that low of calories and not losing fat, please spend a week of weighing every single thing you put into your mouth. In research studies of people who claim they could not lose weight on 1,200 calories, they've actually done a study on this, of people who claim they could not lose weight on 1,200 calories, they found that when they put them on 1,200 calories in a metabolic ward, every single person lost weight. Now, I'm not saying that you're lying. I'm saying that most people are terrible estimators of their food intake. And make sure that 1,200 calories, that includes alcohol, because alcohol is 7 calories per gram. And you're not just omitting certain days like, on Saturday I went out and had whatever, but I ate 1,200 calories every other day of the week because it's a weekly budget. It's not just, it's not just days. So that first. Now, if you truly are eating that amount and not losing weight, then a reverse diet is probably the best call. Will carbon help someone lose weight even if they refuse to work out? Yes, but if they refuse to work out, they're not going to be disciplined enough to stick with it most likely anyway. Honestly, if you're doing it for health or aesthetics, like to look better and feel better, why would you not exercise? It just makes no sense. None. Zero. Exercise is literally the only thing that you can get marked improvements in health markers with zero weight loss, and you look better. Who would want that? I don't. People will do I go to the gym. In the gym I go to, I see guys who go sit in the sauna for like an hour, suffering, but they don't go lift weights. It's like, dude, you could just take that time and lift weights instead of sitting in the sauna and suffering in there. Go lift some fucking weights, and you'd actually get results. All you're doing in there is just losing body water. Like the mental gymnastics that people will go through in order to not exercise is truly mind-blowing. It's kind of like, this is going to get political. It's kind of like people who stay on the government dole for long periods of time, and they construct elaborate schemes to be able to stay on the dole and not have a job. If they actually spent the time that they spent trying to stay on the dole to just work on a career, they wouldn't need it. In fact, they'd be doing a lot better. But some people will try to do anything they can to not work, and that goes with exercise as well, when in reality, they actually end up spending more effort with all this other shit than if they just went and worked out. That's it. The magic you are looking for is in the work you are trying to avoid. All right. Sorry. There's my rant. Now I'm going to get people telling me that I'm a big meanie head and I don't have compassion. I do have compassion. I have a lot of compassion. but not for people who complain and don't do anything to fix things. Hey, Layne, I'm wondering if your body temperature dropping is normal after massive weight loss. Yes, there actually is some science to show that your internal temperature can drop a little bit in response to weight loss. I had my first powerlifting meet in 3 weeks. I'm suddenly losing ground on my 1 rep max on my deadlift. Should I taper sooner than 1 week? No. Calm down. You're in an overreaching phase, most likely. You just have a high level of fatigue. Do you know? So before my first nationals, I had hit like, I want to say like 635 for 8 on a deadlift, right? And as I got further and further and further into that prep, my deadlift started going like this, okay? I ended up getting to the point where I could barely pull 635 for 1 because I was so fatigued. Went and pulled nearly 700 pounds at the meet, okay? My last powerlifting meet prep I did, the heaviest I squatted in prep was 625. The heaviest I deadlifted was 680. At the meet, I squatted 666. That one's for you, Gino, Mark of the Beast. And then on deadlift, I deadlifted 727. So like 40 to 47 pound difference. Almost like a 7 or 8% difference. So it is normal to see your strength decline as you are in a peaking phase for powerlifting. Do not invest emotionally in it. It is part of the process. Just like if you were a track athlete, you would not, you want to be your fastest on meet day. That means peak implies that you're going to be better on that day than you are on other days. So that implies valleys. Okay. So no, I don't think you need to taper early. I think you just need to have some faith. Why does it seem that the carnivores and some keto people seem to be the ones opposing masks and lockdowns, but not the vegans? So this is very interesting. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, and I'm not saying that this is not a hard rule because it's certainly not. There are people on both sides. But carnivores and keto people tend to be more right-wing leaning, whereas vegans tend to be more left-wing leaning politically. So everything is politicized these days, and that includes diet. So I'm not sure what to do with that. It always blows my mind that keto people are the ones who are very much like, oh, this is the evil food industry and the government made you sick with their recommendations and it's not your fault. Calories in, calories out doesn't work. It's not your fault. It's everyone else's fault. It's the fault of the evil food industry. But then Republicans are all about that personal responsibility though. How does that line up? And listen, no hate. I lean further to the right than I do the left. I would consider myself an independent, but I'm definitely a fiscal conservative, but I'm definitely a social liberal. So I guess if I had to identify most closely, I would probably identify most closely as a libertarian or a constitutionalist. However, both those groups also have crazy people in them. So I personally just call myself an independent. But I do think it's funny to watch the keto people mentally masturbate about how obesity is not the fault of the individual. Meanwhile, most of them are Republicans and talk about how people just need to go get a job and you just need to have personal responsibility and just lift yourself up by your bootstrap. So let me get this straight. People who don't have jobs are lazy, but people who get fat, it wasn't their fault. It wasn't their decision. It was just everybody else. That is some impressive Olympic level mental gymnastics right there. Can't wait for the comments after that one. By the way, I don't think obesity is 100% the fault of the individual, but I do think that there is inherent individual personal responsibility. Can overeating protein make the body get used to it and require more protein to stimulate muscle protein synthesis over time? Good question. There's no evidence to suggest that. I'm not saying it's impossible, but as of now, I wouldn't say that there's any evidence to suggest that's true. Eliminated fat from the diet, eliminated all carbs and sugars. I can't lose body fat. No, you didn't. I'm sorry, you just didn't. Doing one meal a day. Okay. What are you eating for that one single meal, and how long have you been doing it, and how often do you weigh yourself, and what time do you weigh yourself? I mean, if you're not eating any carbs or fats, unless you're eating 4,000 calories from chicken breasts, you're not violating the laws of thermodynamics. Like you cannot create body tissue from nothing. If you are going to maintain body mass, then you have to get carbons from somewhere to maintain said body mass. Egg whites and cucumbers, 12 eggs. Well, then you didn't eliminate all fats, I can tell you that. I saw Holly as intermittent fasting. Is that something you generally recommend? It's fine. Holly doesn't intermittent fast because it's magic. She intermittent fasts because her calories are low. And, oh God, here we go. Her calories are low, and she would rather have 3 larger meals or 2 larger meals than like 3 or 4 smaller meals. You obviously have not been studying public health science because environment does have an impact. No shit. I literally just said that obesity is not 100% the fault of the individual. Please, this is the problem we have in politics right now, is people don't actually listen to what somebody else says. They take a soundbite or they hear whatever triggers them, and then they go ape with it. If you actually listened to what I said, I acknowledge that obesity is not 100% the fault of the individual. Of course, environment has an impact. I used to hate your comments when I was keto, but after losing tons of muscle mass and watching your videos again, you helped me understand what an idiot I was. You weren't an idiot. It's easy to get sucked into tribalism. It's easy to get sucked into tribalism. What brand of shirts do you wear? This is an Alpha. I like it. They make good stuff. Fits me well. If they're looking for sponsored people, I'd do that because I like their stuff. But I bought this with my own money. Let's see here. Yeah, it's. I think that people just like to be tribal with things. Like people ask me, like, how can we stop this tribalism? And I don't know if we can, to be honest, because we do it with literally everything. Like, look at COVID, a freaking disease. And we all just are, most people, like I tried to be in the middle about it. I'm like, okay, I understand why we're doing lockdowns because we don't really know much about this thing and we got to figure it out. And then once widespread testing became available and we had new data come out showing that it's not really transmitted under, a certain set of circumstances, then I was like, okay, maybe lockdowns don't make that much sense and we should do X, Y, Z. And I was for people getting vaccinated, et cetera, et cetera. And so basically by being what I consider a reasonable person, you just had both sides hate you. Because people, they don't care about the truth. They mostly care about having their own beliefs validated and feeling like they're part, that they belong to something. And so I would implore you all to actually use the brain that is within your skull. analyze claims as objectively as you can. And if you find out you're wrong, being wrong is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. Being wrong is a beautiful thing. Do you know why? Because if you're wrong, it means that you weren't doing everything the best way you possibly could. Like, I love to find out I'm wrong. I'm like, oh, cool. There's another tool I can put in that I love finding out I'm wrong. In fact, I am always actively trying to disprove what I believe to be true, because I would rather disprove myself than have some idiot or asshole on Twitter or Instagram disprove me. Okay? I was keto for the last 10 years since I was an undergrad at UTampa. I've learned more from your content and ebooks than I ever have in undergrad and grad school at UTampa. Oh boy. Don't let UTampa program see that. But I'm grateful that you've been able to learn more from my stuff. That's great. So true. People don't chase truth, but defend positions. Great example of this. I call this the Tim Tebow effect. All right. And bear with me. For those of you out there that remember when Tim Tebow played NFL football, very few people were in the middle about Tim Tebow. People either loved Tim Tebow or they hated Tim Tebow. All right. So I was kind of in the camp that I was like, you know what? He's not like super talented for quarterback, but like he works hard. He seems positive, seems like a nice guy. Like, so I kind of rooted for him. So what happened? I would be like, hey, go Tebow or whatever. And people are like, Tebow sucks. He blows. He's the worst quarterback in the league. And what it would make me is I would get defensive and be like, well, I'm sorry. Has your quarterback won a playoff game? So what happens is you just do this. It's like two magnets, at opposite ends, pushing each other further apart. And so, yeah, I don't know how to fix it. I think it's just a human thing, man. I think it's just a human thing. Even like really well-educated people. Yeah, Tim Tebow's a keto guy now, ironically. Even really educated people make really dumb claims. Joe Rogan brings on evidence-based guests like you, then follows a carnivore approach and defends it. Why bother getting your point of view? I think that Joe suffers from what a lot of us suffer from, and that is they found something that worked well for them, that they saw results with, and so then they retroactively try to prove why that thing is the best thing ever, instead of just acknowledging that it simply is a tool that worked for them and may not work for everybody in terms of adherence. That's not sexy. It's not flashy. And so people don't want to hear it. Yeah, I don't know. I would love to get back on Joe's podcast and have a discussion with him about it. Because I think I could actually maybe I'm arrogant. I think I might be able to get him to look at it from a different perspective. And I don't even care if he eats carnivore. If he likes that and that's what he wants to do, that's fine. I have no problems with anybody, the way anybody wants to eat. Just understand what the upsides and downsides are with that particular approach. If your body fat is 20%, how much can you expect to lose per week? Well, it depends on how aggressive you want to be. I don't recommend losing more than 1% of body weight per week. There is some evidence. Carbon caps it at 1.2% of your body weight per week. And there is some evidence that shows that while it doesn't seem to affect long-term weight loss, that being aggressive, you can still lose a lot of weight overall. You do lose a significantly greater amount of lean body mass. All right, guys, that's it for me. If you want to check out our app, it's Carbon Diet Coach, available on iTunes or the Apple Store and Google Play. It's a fantastic app. I use it to coach myself. Holly uses it to coach herself. You guys have seen the kind of shape we've been able to get in, as well as tens of thousands of other people's. tens of thousands of other people. You've seen all the comments on this about how great Carbon is. Honestly, if you can't afford one-on-one nutritional coaching, which a lot of people can't, Carbon is a fantastic option at $10 a month. It will take your individual metrics, your goals, your data, formulate your nutritional recommendations, and then you check in every week, and the app will adjust those recommendations based on how your individual body and metabolism respond. So it's a great tool. Cannot recommend it enough. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Hopefully you didn't mind me yelling at you too much, and look forward to catching up with you guys again in the future.